in the year 3797, machines rule this planet. After the great robotic wars of the 30th century, the humans have retreated to living underground, at least what remains of them. Only one human known only as ShwizZ himself had been known to make it up to the surface several decades ago, never to be seen again. Legends began to grow that the human who escaped to the surface had become a hybrid human machine so powerful it could cause the extinction of human life. Deep underground, General Boxer and the humans prepare a massive strike to retake the surface. Only under his leadership do the humans stand a fighting chance against the machines. Destroy all humans.
Hey everybody, this is Ryan from ShwizZ. Hope you guys are enjoying your lovely Friday afternoon. More than likely you're not watching right now and you're outside because it's so beautiful, which is where I should be too. But hey, we just released a song, so gotta put in the man hours, as they say. So yes, we're celebrating today. We just released a single, another single from our album, in what we have been calling a waterfall style release, where we release one song at a time slowly over several months until the full album finally drops, which will be next week. But today we released a song called Changing Gears, which is an old classic written by Andy Boxer, our drummer, and it features Luke Bemand on the bass guitar, bassist from Lespecial. So I'm just going to go ahead and play the song for you, give you a little live performance. Then I thought maybe we'd have a nice little chat, maybe field some questions, if there are questions, concerns, any of that type of stuff, and give you a little breakdown of the song. And then I'm going to actually play the recorded version of the song for you at the very end. So, all right, here we go. Without further ado, I'm going to perform it for you right now. Changing Gears, it's called. Alrighty, there you have it. That was Changing Gears. A brand new release from ShwizZ this very day. You can go check it out on Spotify. And again, that one features Luke Bemand of Lespecial on bass. Some really cool stuff that happened during that session. And I thought maybe we'd have a little chat about the lovely session and again, dive into some deeper parts of the song. But anyway, we basically laid down the drums and the bass at the same time. So Luke and Andy were in the live room performing the song together. And that really helps when you're laying down the foundation of a song, especially for me as a guitar player. If you've got some nice tight drums and bass to play along to, makes your life a whole lot easier. And Luke was using some interesting pedal. I don't know what it was exactly. Similar to a whammy pedal. Might have been a whammy pedal. And if you're watching, Luke, maybe you can tell me what kind of pedal it was. But it did some really cool octave effects. And I think that Luke's playing on this tune fit the song quite perfectly, with a lot of cool little fills and riffs in there that weren't there before. And when me and Andy were performing it live with a bass track, it was a pretty straightforward bass track, just like a synth bass subby type of sound. And to have that natural bass feel when you're playing is really helps a lot. All right, so I thought maybe we'd take a look at some of the finer parts of the song. And I'm just going to play a couple little snippets that I particularly enjoyed. So the first one is just the intro. I really like the chords. So Andy wrote this song a long time ago, and it was actually the melody was like a theme from one of our old songs that's on the My Good Side, My Bad Side record. And this track just kind of nothing ever came of it, and we decided to revamp it, and it came out quite well. At least we think it did. All right, so here's the intro. So those are some really just nice keyboard voicings that Andy wrote on the Rhodes. And I had to sort of guitarify them. And we wound up laying a Rhodes on the track. Andy's a big fan of the Rhodes, and our buddy Barry Price gave us his Rhodes many years ago. So Barry, if you're watching, thank you. We're putting it to use. And so anyway, lovely chords, F minor 7, a good old E flat major, and then I really liked this voicing, but it's just an A flat 7, but I kind of made it this little 9 chord jam to a B flat 9. And the leading tones kind of do this cool chromatic thing, which I found was very cool. If you just play the bass note and the leading tone, it's almost like old school, jazz from the 20s. So I just thought that those chords were just really nice choices, and again, just kind of guitarified the voicings a little bit to make them work. Andy played some nice big voicings on the Rhodes, which were very nice. All right, my next little part I'm going to break down here was the B section. So a couple big influences on this song for me were Bella Fleck, one tune in particular called Vix 9, off the, I don't remember what album it's off. But it was when they were a trio, so it was just Bella Fleck, Feature Man, and Victor Wooten. And that tune, I was always stood out to me. They kind of did like this kind of breakbeaty fusion with banjo thing, and I was just like, whoa, this is cool. This is something I've never heard before. So check that out, Vix 9 by Bella Fleck, and you'll probably hear some similarities to this song in the melodies and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm just going to play the little B section here. Yeah, so a lot of times what we'll do is Andy will write like a bass line and he'll just say, hey, make it cool or whatever, put some chords on it. So this one in particular didn't, I'm not really sure what I did back in the day, but when we, revamped it now, I put some new voicings on it. And, originally I don't think we even had a melody in that part. I think we were just playing chords, we were just kind of rocking through, which was fun live. But, I always like to have a melody that kind of sits atop everything for the most part, So this part, I used some pretty cool little minor 7 voicings that I learned from my teacher, Steve Kahn. And the very first chord is an A minor of this section. And, just to give you an idea of the evolution of where I got this chord, you all start out learning this chord when you learn guitar. Stairway to Heaven, all that good stuff. And eventually you kind of progress into this, like, maybe you do this one first, you add the 9 on top, and then maybe you do the little staircase to heaven chord, as we call it. And then I found some voicings that, that Steve Kahn showed me when I was taking lessons with him, which were really cool, to take this minor 9 shape. So that's A minor 9, you got A, you've got your minor 3rd, you've got your 5th, your 7th, your 9th, all in a row. And you just take your 5th here, your E, and you just make it the 4th. You make it a D. And all of a sudden it kind of opens it up, in my opinion. And another guy I saw that uses this chord a lot is Alan Holdsworth, who said that he hates the sound of this chord. And in some video I was watching, he said he hated the sound of this chord. So I always thought that was kind of interesting that, he's an amazing chord player, Alan Holdsworth. So the fact that he always preferred this voicing over this one, I thought was pretty awesome. So, and again, I'm just doing like a half-step approach, which again is like a big Steve Kahn thing that I learned from him. So just taking that voicing, and the bass, of course, is going B flat A. Yeah, so, and then on the second half, we're going, same thing, just down a step. So we're going G sharp, G. And here I kind of changed the voicing a little to be another Steve Kahn voicing that I learned while studying with him. Really cool, but this one's like more of a suspended, or, I think of it as an F major triad. You've got F major, you got your A, your C, your F here, playing it over a G. What I did was, if you adjust your fingers, you can add the G in there to just kind of give you like a fuller sound, kind of like a piano voicing, where they can get that second apart type of situation going on. So again, A minor, G sus, A minor. Thought those were really cool chords. And then with the melody, so, it's pretty simple, kind of George Benson-y type of melody that I came up with, but I thought I would mess around with the pattern a little bit, so. So I consider it like I'm going up first, then I'm going down, then I'm going up. Going up. Going down. Going up. And then that last little ending is just like little bits of 5/4 there. And then what I do is I flip it when I go to the G. So I go down and then I go up. Down. Up. Down. Up. So again, the whole phrase is kind of like. So I just thought that was kind of like a cool little thing to do. And then when it happens the second time, I actually reverse them again. So I do whatever level of inversion that is, but I'm on the first one. Now I'm gonna go down first. So I go down, up, down. So I just kind of thought it would be fun to, try and trick myself and make it more difficult. Why? I don't know, but I guess that's just what you do when you get bored. All right, so I wanted to play a little bit of Andy and Luke's drum and bass so you could hear just how lovely they sound together. So that was the soloed drum and bass track there, without guitar, without keys, all that good stuff. And, you get a good glimpse of Luke's little whammy pedal thing that he was using, which is... the Boss PS6 Harmonist is what he uses. All right. So go out and buy yourself one, kids. But yeah, really cool sound there, and you can hear him. Really cool fill there in the end. I don't know what that was, but that was really awesome. That he did on bass. And, a lot of people, remember when I was watching him and he was playing in the lower register, and I hear him playing all these high notes, and I'm like, oh, whoa, that's some cool stuff. So he was able to do that using that pedal. All right, so what do we have next? Yes, this is getting into the real nitty-gritty stuff here. So I'm going to play a snippet from the solo section that I particularly enjoyed, where we all kind of linked up on a bunch of stuff. Cool. So, yeah, that solo section is really fun to solo over, and basically we just took 3 chords, made it pretty simple. A minor 7 for 8 measures or something like that. G minor 7, and rinse and repeat. We're going back to A, and then my favorite part when we hit a little E minor major 7 there, and I just am sort of obsessed with that sound these days. And, it's been a while, not just these days. Everything based off the melodic minor scale, And, I always think it's cool when, we're doing like an A kind of Dorian mode thing. And then you're just moving that whole thing down, same mode. And that kind of gets you into modal playing, which, again, Miles Davis, all that stuff in the late 60s, experimental jazz, kind of entering modal playing like that. So I always just try to make every solo section not just like we're just going to play one chord forever, like I like to have movement, and that opens the door to new melodies and new movements on the guitar, being able to just... Again, that was just kind of going between the A Dorian mode and the G Dorian mode. And like I said, I've kind of become obsessed with using melodic minor these days. If you're not familiar with the melodic minor scale, it is basically a major scale, except you just are going to flat your third. Your third makes a scale major or minor. So a typical major scale would sound like this. And a melodic minor scale, we're just going to make it minor sounding. So you go... You get some really cool chords out of that. All right, I messed up that last note. That's all right, though. So I've basically become just obsessed with that mode, that scale, and just using it as many places as I can. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. So I was going to talk about the little part where we line up on some really cool stuff during that solo section. And one of the techniques that I've been trying to do lately is kind of a hybrid finger picking and picking situation. So we kind of link up on this little triplet roll thing. That was a little sloppy, but whatever. Just to show you the point of it, what I'm doing is I'm picking with my pick, and then I'm hitting the two strings below with my two fingers there. And I'm basically just going up the Dorian mode in chords. Using fourths, basically a big type of jazz thing. Let me use my less wonky sounding sound. Make it sound pretty. Again, and that's just kind of going up the scale in chords. Starting, I consider it starting on my, my minor third here. And then I'm just stacking fourths all the way up. Till I get to G. So again, that was over the A minor. When I got to the G, I kind of figured out this cool little tapping thing. I've been getting into tapping lately, so I'll just play you that little So that might be my fastest recorded lick to date, which is kind of cool. Never thought I'd get there, but I always think that whatever the last fastest thing I recorded was going to be the fastest, So anyway, it sounds a little difficult, but it's actually kind of easier than it looks. Most things usually are. You see some guy playing something, and you're like, oh my God, what was that? And then they break it down for you, and you're like, I could do that. It took a while. It took a couple months. Don't get me wrong. You can't just pick up a guitar, and you're not just going to play this lick. But, a couple months of practicing tapping and stuff like that. So again, we're over G minor. And just all pentatonic kind of stuff. So I'm basing it all off of this one shape, which is a minor second and then a minor third. And I'm just taking that shape, starting on my high E string, where again we're in G minor, so I'm starting on an F, F, G, B flat, C, D, and F. And I'm just going down all the way to the D string, same shape. And then when I get to the A string, new shape, which is now flipped, a minor third and a minor second. So that's the shape that you kind of need to practice with this hand. And then once you have that down, kind of start to add the tapping note in. So again, minor second, minor third, and then another minor second on the tapping there. So once you sit there and practice that for, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is, and your hand starts to get used to going like this, then you start to move it down the strings. As so. And this particular one, I'm actually doing some sort of double tapping with this finger. So So once I got... I started to do... but of course, just playing it like that wasn't going to fit the phrase that I needed it to fit, so I had to add a couple, basically, little repeats. So I'm basically just kind of doubling up on the B string one. And returning on that G string one, so I'm doing... Again, it's... And then you know, landing on the E there for my A chord. I'll just give you one more listen here. So that was a really fun thing to sort of experiment with in the studio. I haven't really done much of that type of shredding, but I'm getting there, so it's opening a whole new world of notes for me. I can play more notes with this hand? Whoa. All right, and let's hear this little part here. All right, so that part was really cool. And again, all based off the melodic minor scale. And again, this is kind of like a big John Scofield-y influence section for me. Lots of use of the open strings. I'm playing an E minor major 7. This is really cool voicing of it that I like. Again, just a basic E minor. And all I'm doing is, on my B string, adding the major 7th. Really cool, you know, James Bond-y sounding stuff. But again, all based off the melodic minor scale. So yeah, that part broken down is basically, you know, I'm playing like an E power chord, and all with the open strings. That's what really gives it that sound. Gotta have those open strings in there. And this little part at the end, that's originally how I was playing it, which is just, you're just descending down the melodic minor scale. And, you know, I was like, wait a second, you know, what if I were to just, I think I might have done that by accident or something, and I was like, hey, that sounded kind of cool. I wonder if I played it all on one string. That would be cooler. And then if I added this, you know, that kind of painted black, every 90s Green Day guitar solo type of sound, you know? So I just thought that was like a super cool sound, just playing that melodic minor scale with the open E string. All the way down to the end there. And so yeah, so I just started playing it like that, and that's where it is now. And I want to give you a little in-depth look at that part. I thought that there were some really cool sounds, almost Zappa-like, but for whatever reason, I associated this sound of like somebody hitting an anvil with a hammer, like a little tiny metal hammer, just hitting an anvil. So these are like part of the tracks that we layered in underneath the guitar. So yeah, I thought thought that was an interesting type of sound there. I don't know. Like I said, little guy hitting a tiny anvil with a little metal hammer or something. And of course, the Rhodes playing its lovely part there, doing a minor major 7 to a minor 6 chord. Just some loverly chords there. All right, and let's see. What did I want to say? Oh, I wanted to just show a snippet at the very end here. So first of all, that part, I just love the sound of those cymbals. They're super crisp. They're nice. They're not too crisp. They're just the right tone. Really nice swelling job done by Andy there in that part. But really, I just wanted to talk about this really cool guitar voicing once again, which, again, it's actually the same as our E minor major 7, but we're just playing it up in A now. And what I do is I go all the way up here. And just a really cool voicing. Again, I got my root, I've got my minor 3rd, I've got my major 7, and I got my root again on top. So I just always love to bust that voicing out as much as I can. And another cool thing to do to that is to raise your root note up to your 9th, and then you get a little hard to play up there. Let me play it down here. There we go. Kind of a cool chord because you get 2 dissonant minor seconds there. But it works. And one last cool chord that I play in that part is this chord, which is a minor 7 sus, A minor 7 sus, or an A minor 9 sus, I guess you'd call it. And this is a hand stretcher here, so you gotta practice this for a little bit until you get really comfortable with it. But this one started off with me learning just this little 3-note chord, and I remember when I learned that, I was just like, whoa. You get that kind of stuff. All that beautiful stuff. And then eventually learned if you kind of shift your fingers around, you can add some more notes on top. So whether it be the root, adding that A up there. I always thought that was a little plain and boring sounding though. So I wanted to eventually found that I could stretch my pinky up here to get this kind of suspended-y A minor. Really cool chord. And I remember this one time I was jamming with some friends, and there were a couple guys there that I didn't know or something. I was with Paul Cesario and Will Bergoletta, and I remember playing that chord, and this guy just looks at me and he's like, "What the fuck was that chord?" And I was, and I was just like, "Man, that's the reaction I want to get when I play that chord," you know. I think he was just looking at my hands, you know. He had just never seen anyone not play a G major or something, you know. So a really cool voicing there that I use kind of at the end to go along with those cymbal swells. Throw a little whammy bar on there. Sounds nice. And a couple little production things here that I did, at least for the live, or at least for when I do it live, is this lead sound. And I'm just going to play one note and you'll hear kind of what I'm talking about. So you can kind of hear it kind of warble around there, right? So I use an all-digital pedal these days. So I've foregone my analog days for a while now, just for ease of use. And I think that things basically sound very close these days, and I can sort of get the sounds that I want. Each song with ShwizZ specifically kind of warrants its own tones and its own thing. So this makes it very convenient. Don't get me wrong, I still use analog pedals all the time. Especially in the studio. I recorded this whole song with just analog pedals. But for live purposes, you know, I wanted to recreate the effect that I had on the analog pedal board. This one, it's called the Air Vibrato pedal that makes it do that. I think any vibrato pedal should kind of give you that warbly sound. And the trick is to just set it very low. The higher you turn the rate or the speed or whatever, the more alien and outer space it's going to sound. But if you just give a little bit, kind of gives this sort of uncomfortable sound, but yet it's kind of comforting at the same time. So I always thought that was kind of cool to just like have that on, and maybe someone would notice. Maybe someone would just think I'm playing out of tune, but I kind of think of it as like some nice subtle microtonal type of waves that are sort of happening while that solo is going down. And I thought that this song in particular fit it because it's kind of ambient in a way and experimental. So anyway, I think that's maybe all I have to say about this tune. I don't know. Are there any questions? I'm here with Tosh in the studio. I want to thank her for fielding the questions, the non-existent questions that are out there. And so, yeah, I hope maybe you learned a little bit about the song, about playing guitar, stuff like that. Shoot me your questions, your comments, concerns. You can check the song on Spotify. Again, it's called Changing Gears. Features Luke Bemand of Lespecial on the bass. And if you're feeling generous, you can leave us a lovely tip here. Venmo at ShwizZ. You can also visit us at ShwizZ.com for all the latest ShwizZ updates. And again, the big album is dropping next Friday. That is June 26th. The album is dropping. The full thing. We got a plethora of artists on this one. We got Tim and Chris from Kung Fu. We got Luke from Lespecial. We got John Ferrara from Consider the Source. We got Ed Mann from the Zappa Band. We got David Krumholtz. We got Tosh. We got Dan. There's some other people, I'm sure. Other people snuck in there. Alan. We got Alan Rappaport on this album. His first recording. Alan, if you're watching, you did good. All right, so again, I think that's all I got. The song is Changing Gears. Next Friday, the full album drops. And we are actually doing a stream, our first ShwizZ show in 2020, I think. We might have played one in January or something. This is our first ShwizZ show, first digital ShwizZ show ever, I think. But we're going to stream. Me and Andy are going to stream from the studio. We're going to play the entire album live on the day that it drops, front to back. All the bells and whistles, all that stuff. So it's going to be really fun. And that's right, next Friday. So a lot of stuff going on next Friday. I think I saw something that Nelly Bombs is putting something out next Friday, too. So there's a lot of musical things happening next Friday. So try to distract yourself with stuff like that. And again, go check it out on Spotify. Changing Gears is up there. You can also listen to, there's 3 other tracks that are released. And there will be 4 more tracks, including the title track, Big Things, which is basically a Frank Zappa song that features Ed Mann on the vibes, and that's sort of our homage to Mr. Frank Zappa himself. So you'll definitely want to listen to that one, because we sing on it too. That's right, occasionally we sing lyrics. So anyway, next Friday, you can catch it all right back here on the ShwizZ page. We'll be streaming the full album, Big Things. All right, so thanks for tuning in. Thank you to Luke for being part of the track. Again, it's called Changing Gears, put out courtesy of Color Red Records out of Denver, Colorado. All right, and without further ado, I'm going to now play the studio track for all you listening still. So enjoy.